I've made a lot of photo engravings, and they look really good. I'm happy with the shapes and the ornaments, but this time I want to upgrade and make an integral frame with the engraving on the CNC. So this is the shape of the frame, 5 by 6. I have 2 matte lines in there, one oval and one round, which I choose what is the best for each photo. Now it's time to bring in the cat picture. The only problem is, it comes in huge. It thinks the number of pixels in each direction is the number of inches in each direction, so it thinks it's 2,374 inches by 3,859. A little scaling, and we can fix this. So I'll start by decreasing the width to 3.6 inches and the Z range to 0.06 inches. The width and the height are locked ratios so that it looks like a good picture. The Z range I set at 0.06 inches. This can be 0.04 to 0.06 inches. I find 0.6 works well for mine. That is the height the cutter will go up and down. That looks like a better size for the cat. Looking at the dimensions, I think it would work better horizontally instead of vertically. Now what I look at is to make sure the ears get in and the whiskers. Those are important features. And I'm also looking to see which fits better, the oval or the round mat. Check how everything fits. We can change the position and the scale if we need to. So I like the way this looks. So now we'll go down and paste it in. Once it's pasted, I don't know how to modify the image anymore. And I have to start over. I think the oval mat looks better, so let's delete the round mat. That looks nice with the oval. Now it's time to start machining. I select the inside of the frame. We will machine this down 3/8 of an inch, half of the 3/4 inch material. That will give us a nice visual depth to the frame. We'll use a 1/4 inch cutter to remove the material. Here's a simulation of the CNC cutting the pocket. Now we will select the outside profile and we'll cut it out. We will use tabs to hold it in place while it's cutting. Here's the simulation of cutting the outside profile, and you can see one tab to hold it in place on each face. Checking the simulations is a good way to make sure you don't break cutters and get good parts. Another reason for the oval mat is we are only going to engrave inside of it. Even though the picture extends outside, it'll only cut what's inside. The Carveco software is amazing, and you can see a visual representation of what the engraving will look like. Here's another view of the simulation. It looks pretty good. Now, key thing is to make sure we're engraving on the right level. So I like to put it in the front view and then see what height the cutter is actually engraving on. If you don't, you'll be cutting it in the air above the pocket. It amazes me, the definition of the whiskers. Now we'll add the oval mat. When we actually cut the part, I like to do that first. It gives it a better definition, I believe. The full simulation will show us what will happen. This looks amazing. Now for the cut. First thing we do is zero the workpiece so the machine knows where it is. And now we hit go. First we cut the inside frame pocket 3/8 of an inch deep. This will give us shadow lines and make the frame look classy. Now we cut the outside of the frame while we have the 1/4 inch bit in, saving a setup. I have a tool setter, so the machine comes to the tool changing station up front. Here I can go from the 1/4 inch diameter cutter to the engraving bit. Once I change the tool, I hit go, and it goes back to the tool setter so it knows the height of the tool. Now we will cut the visual mat, an oval groove. And now we engrave. I made a mistake. The engraving is going with the grain. It should go at 45 degrees across the grain to give us nice sharp chips. These strings are not as good as it could be. Do as I say, not as I do. Again, the cutter's going up and down 0.06 inches and stepping over 0.015. Very fine work. That was 33 minutes of cutting. Well, that looks good. So you can see how the 3/8 pocket and the oval mat add to the complexity and the visual appeal. Now to cut the tabs. And now for the stain. It is a stain. Wipe on, wipe off. Yes, I should have sanded the back more. I used too fine a grit. You don't have to be too careful with the gray because the black will cover it. But you do have to be careful with the black. I do use cheap brushes, but when I want to do fine work, I will take a pair of scissors and cut the ends so that the bristles are all the same length. This really helps with quality and controllability. Patience, patience, patience. Attention to detail is hard when you're basically an impatient person. A little more gray because I didn't like the way the frame was looking. Again, I didn't like it after I wiped it off, so I added a little more. And now to let it dry overnight. So here's where the magic happens. Who thought sanding would be this much fun? I use 120 to 150 grit sandpaper depending on the engraving. I try to just sand the black. I don't scratch up the gray. You have to blow away the black sawdust so you can see your progress. It helps if you know what the subject looks like, so you know what you're trying to achieve. Keep working. It's good to define the edges. It gives a good visual contrast and adds depth to the piece. Black cats are really hard. There's just not a lot of contrast. Now it's time to get our report card. Let's see how we did. Above the eye, below the chin. And look in the ear, it's lighter. The eyes look pretty good. They have to be clear where they're green. So more sanding. Sand and check, sand and check, sand and check. Like I said, black cats are hard. Even her nose is black. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. A quick brush with nylon bristles and everything looks good, ready for finishing. I'm very happy with this. Look at the detail. You can even see the whiskers and the eyebrows. I'm truly amazed. Again, I'm very happy with how the depth of the frame and the oval mat add to the visual quality and enhance the engraving. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and ring the bell. I appreciate you watching the Johnsonville Woodworker.